the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to. Oh my God. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you say good eating?
Good evening,
Hopefully we do
ladies
some
and
good eating.
gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Shipe Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Matthew Shipe, joined always by my co-host and producer, Paul. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Matt. Good to be here.
Joined in studio always by Chris. Chris, how you doing?
What up? I'm doing well.
And making his return to Shipe Sports Talk, I guess he's the so-called face of Shipe Sports Talk, Mr. Anthony Ladizio. Anthony, welcome back, buddy. We miss you.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Woohoo!
We like the face is back, I guess, as we say.
The face
That
himself.
runs the place, so-called. So first off, before we get going with our topic, let's talk USA. I'm wearing the Clint Dempsey,
T-shirt jersey.
T-shirt jersey. The cheap people. They won last night, 2-1.
The shirtsies.
Jersey.
All right.
2-1 victory over Jamaica. Awesome. They won the Gold Cup. Jamaica made the finals by eliminating Mexico, which every USA fan can give a clap for.
I'd rather have played Mexico.
I don't
honestly.
care. I'll take the Gold Cup however way it comes.
It just would have been a better game.
So
I think.
things got started at the end of the first half with the free kick by Josie Outdoor, which just rocketed. It just seems to be a free kick tournament because, last game, Dempsey made it, then the Jamaica won. And then you come back in the second half, Jamaica started off strong. They got the goal off the corner kick. But then USA, it just seems like they were fighting, and you knew sooner or later they were going to break through. Jordan Morris, who's having, it's an okay year with Seattle. He needed something like this goal to maybe jumpstart him. But you can see, Dempsey came off the bench. A lot of the older guys on the bench, you can see that Bruce Arena is doing a youth movement. Chris and Anthony, do you guys see that right now with USA Soccer? This is the youth movement right here.
Well, 100%.
And they're playing great.
Once Klinsmann was gone, it's a whole new
System.
philosophy.
And this guy is, obviously for the knockout stages, he brought over, he brought Dempsey up. He brought Howard. Howard played tremendous, but I really like Arena's.
After the knockout stages.
I like Arena's philosophy of using the younger guys now because even during the knockout, Dempsey came off the bench. And I tell you what, if that's going to be his role going forward, I don't know if it will be for the World Cup next year. I think it's a really good role for him because you see him, obviously he's getting older. His body may not be able to withstand what it used to be. He's bringing a really big spark off the bench. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and Anthony, we kind of cut Anthony off. What were you going to say? I missed it.
No, I was going to agree with you. Yeah, the youth movement is definitely, I think, in full effect, and you pretty much hit it right on the head. It has a lot to do with the changing of, who's in charge with Arena. So,
So what's this guy Murray? Is that his name?
Bruce Arena.
No. But a player on the U.S. team. Oh, wait, am I jumping ahead? I might be jumping ahead.
I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about.
So there's a guy. I think he actually scored one of the goals. Maybe
Morris.
Morris.
Yes.
Is that his name? Like
Yes.
young guy.
Yes.
He's one of the young guys. Right?
Yeah.
Short.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Then, like you said, you got Pulisic wasn't really there. I think he's doing the world tour with Dormant, probably getting some experience with the first team over there. No problem with that. He's playing against world class people, so that's fine. But you have Matt Mizigan, who was a Chelsea young player. I believe he's loaned out right now for Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
But you're seeing a lot of young players, and these players are playing good. You saw it during the World Cup qualifying against Mexico, 1-1 with most of these young guys. So I'm liking it, and I think he should not change his philosophy for the World Cup next year. Go do what you're doing now because it's working.
Yes, but this Gold Cup isn't, who was the toughest team that we faced in the Gold Cup?
Costa Rica, probably.
But that's what I'm trying to say is that the competition is not quite there, and I like what he's doing now, experimenting, getting the young kids in there, getting them experience, so that way when it does come World Cup time and when it is time to get your A squad out there, if somebody needs to come on, they're not going to be green. They've already got a few games under their belt. They're going to be okay to play. But I'm excited to see what happens, but I know that this isn't the competition. The competition really wasn't there. We were probably not favored to win it because there were some other good South American teams there. But I'm pretty sure we were one of the top teams there just because of the fact that the competition really wasn't there. So we'll take that with a grain of salt. The win, how the players were progressing, we'll just take that with a grain of salt. That's all.
And do you feel confident with this team that maybe we can make out of a knockout stage in a World Cup? I feel confident.
No, I don't.
I do because I think we do.
What if we end up with like Germany and Brazil?
Yeah, who's the group? That's the
Guess
thing.
what?
you
We
go.
ended up with Germany, Portugal, and Ghana, and we made it out. And that was the group of death.
No. Mm-mm.
I think we do. I think because you got to think about we're missing, like I said, Pulisic is not there right now. Bobby Wood is not there right now. We're also missing DeAndre Yeldon.
Right, but
Fabian Johnson. There's a lot of people still missing.
there's a lot of people still missing.
John
but
Brooks.
Again, even if you have our 100% A squad, we're not up there with the top teams.
I say. Well, obviously, when the World Cup drawings come out, and I believe they come out in December.
I
believe it's December, which sucks because it makes you wait all the way to June. I think we're gonna see this team back in the knockout stages again. Now,
I could see us
round of
definitely-
16. That's it, probably.
Yeah.
But I believe the USA right now is at the point where they should constantly make it into the knockout stages.
I think that it depends on the group. If we can get out of that, we can maybe get past a round.
Okay.
At least one. Let's try. Two
Make
is
a
a
bold
reach.
prediction.
I'll be
Top
fine.
10? Are they a top 10 team right now in the world? Top 5? What's your prediction on them?
Top 20.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
say
Top,
outside.
So
top
then they
5,
wouldn't-
that's a
so-
huge reach.
I mean, you're the one saying that they could get to the round of 16, no problem.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's a knockout stages. So.
Well, who's your top
I mean,
five?
but that would-
All right. Well,
that
who's
would
your
put them in
five?
the top
My
10
top 5 in
teams
the
almost.
world?
Yeah.
Well, number 1 is going to be Germany, obviously, just because they just beat a whole bunch of good teams with their
Without a
JV
doubt.
squad.
Without a doubt.
2, man, it's a toss-up up there in the world. I'll probably have to go with Brazil at 2.
Or is Argentina in the mix?
Yeah, they're 3. 4, little surprise. I like the people they have on their roster. We haven't seen them. They weren't in the Confederation Cup. Obviously, not everyone can make that. I like Belgium up there in the top 5, and also Chile.
Chile.
I was gonna say I definitely don't
No
have
love for
Belgium. in there.
Portugal?
Chile, yes. Portugal up there
I
too.
like Belgium. I think Belgium has a good roster.
I like Belgian waffles.
Here, this is from my dad.
I do.
Anthony, do you have anyone? Do you have a top 5 or anyone you can think of top?
I don't
5?
have a top 5, but I don't agree with Belgium being in the top 5.
All right, well, that's just me.
Well, yeah, that's
about the
kind of
only-
like
I
your-
agree. I'm kind of I would move them around a little bit, but I agree with Germany being the best one.
I think
That
I
I
don't think
will.
anyone can.
They're going to be
disagree.
the favorite going into the summer next year.
I don't think anyone can disagree.
They're going to be the favorite.
yeah.
They're always a favorite. And it's just, I think it goes back to the Confederation Cup where you take in a B squad, a JV team, and you basically just beat everyone like it's nothing. I mean, obviously they had some trouble with Chile. You know, they drew them in the group stages, and they beat them by 1 in the thing. But it's just the fact that they made it there with not their roster.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe out of all the players they had on the roster, I think maybe 3 or 4 are on their A squad.
Let's see.
And they're not even
according to-
starting; they're on the bench.
Looking at the
according to-
FIFA ranking table.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Germany is
USA.
number 1.
USA's 35.
Yeah,
That's
USA is sorry.
But the thing
Germany-
is, that may change after
Germany
winning the
is
Gold
number
Cup.
1.
Mhm.
Brazil's number 2. Argentina's number 3.
I had the top 3.
Portugal's number 4, and then Switzerland's number 5.
Switzerland.
Based on the points.
What?
Poland
Where-
is 6.
Where's
Oh.
Belgium at?
10.
10.
All right, well, that works.
Poland 6.
But
Where's,
I
where
can't
do we
even-
say?
I don't even see
Where's
USA
Chile?
in the top 20.
Where's Chile?
7.
Chile 7, Colombia
Switzerland.
8.
But here's the thing about Switzerland: they never make like a top 4 in a tournament. So how are they? Whatever.
Because it's based on what
It's-
they're doing in the interim till the World Cup.
I
It's not
guess,
what they're
yeah,
just
you're
doing in
And
the
it's
World Cup.
also, we're not covering that here. Obviously, we're covering the Gold Cup, because that's what we
But yeah, their
are interested in.
qualifyings and everything.
What they're doing in Europe is not widely broadcasted here.
That's true.
I agree.
All right, let's move on now to our What is Baseball segment, brought to you by Chris, who came up with the name thanks to his fantasy baseball team that was the winner that year. And let's talk MLB trade deadline. Anthony, I'm going to let you start it off just because of what just happened. So, Anthony, you started off at the big trade that happened for your team today.
I wouldn't say big trade, but definitely a trade in the right movement for the Mets. They unload one of the players that would be a free agent at the end of the year. And on top of that, the Rays took on the rest of his salary for the rest of the season. So that's a nice little addition to it.
Ooh, that's
And
nice.
the Mets traded Lucas Duda, and they got a pitcher back from the Rays who's a relief pitcher, and they're saying right now he's throwing in the 90s
you?
and a
My
98
bad.
mile per hour fastball that they got in a prospect in return from him. And supposedly this is a guy that a lot of teams were inquiring to the Rays about in deals when they were looking to make a move. So excited to see that finally take place, because the one thing the Mets have to do is get younger. I know a lot of people look at their pitching staff and they're young, but outside of that, they really don't have actual players. So again, this helps the pitching, and the bullpen is definitely their roughest spot. So talk of Granderson being moved next, Asdrubal Cabrera, Addison Reed, Jay Bruce. So I mean, there's a lot that could go on between now and Monday. So moving Duda is definitely a good start though for the Mets.
All right, then one of the trades yesterday was the Rockies acquired reliever Nishik. Is that how you say his last name?
Nishak with a 1.12 ERA so far
From
for
the
the Phillies this year.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. In terms of local news, the Nationals are looking to add, there's a lot of rumors that Zach Britton will be the surprise trade for them, which would really kill the Orioles and the Oriole fan base if he came here. Also, we have Yu Darvish, Justin Verlander, and Sonny Gray are also bid for the Nationals. So I think the Nationals will make one more move, and it'll be for the pitching. I think they're fine. As you saw today with the hitting, I really don't think they need any type of offensive player because apparently everyone in that lineup can hit a home run. So we'll look for that. But also the Dodgers looking to get a starting pitcher. So there's going to be some moves made before this deadline. It's going to be a very active trading deadline, which is why I think baseball, Anthony, you follow hockey and everything. Chris, I think baseball has the most exciting trade deadline. What do you guys think? I think it's better than NBA. I think it's better than NHL.
Go ahead, Anthony, because I know you're one of our baseball experts.
I'd say baseball is good. Football, I think, is the weakest one by far. I don't think that's even really a question.
They don't really do
yeah,
trades.
there's really nothing major that ever happens there. Hockey, it really depends on how it goes. I'd say NBA is very close up there. As much as I'm not a huge fan of basketball in general, I think basketball's trade deadline is usually pretty intriguing. But I'd agree with you in baseball that a lot of moves are made there that end up, being helpful to teams, as you saw last year with Chapman and Andrew Miller both going to teams that ended up making the World Series. The Yankees were able to cash in on that. So, I mean, a lot of moves are made.
Back.
Yeah, and they got him back in the offseason. So, kudos to them on that move. But I think baseball is definitely exciting. It's just tough for me because there's some seasons where I don't think it is as exciting. We'll see if there's a blockbuster move. So far, we haven't had a huge move. We've had some pretty good moves, though, when it comes to it. But, I mean, if this Stanton talks continue with the Marlins, you could talk about one of the biggest trades ever in deadline history if he ends up getting moved anywhere. So, definitely intriguing, and I agree with you that it is one of the best to watch.
I think a lot of it has to do with the sheer number of teams and players on each team and the fact that there's so many games.
And the fact that there's technically no salary cap.
Yeah, that too.
All right. So let's move on real quick before we finish with baseball. Let's talk Nats today. Big win, 15-2. They set a couple Nats records today with first hitting back-to-back-to-back-to-back home runs. In case you didn't get all those, that's 4 in a row. And 5 in one inning. The third inning, they scored 7. The fourth inning, they scored 6. So, I mean, that's crazy. And then the back-to-back guys were Goodwin, Defoe, Harper, Zimmerman, and then later on in the inning, Rendon hit one. Mm-hmm. Who, right now, I'm looking at this. Anthony, maybe from a Mets fan, maybe you can get some insight on this. The Nats, I believe, have 4 guys who can be top 5 in MVP voting when it comes to it. In terms of Harper,
5.
I wouldn't get too crazy on top 5.
Okay, how about top 10 in MVP voting in Rendon?
Top 25, top 30.
So as of right now, who do you think's the MVP? Do you think it's Harper?
It's tough.
Do you think Harper and Murphy will both be up there more than likely in Zimmerman at the end? I know it's hard
tough,
for one
man.
team to have. I know you're a Mets fan, but just look at
it. It has nothing
team.
to do with being a Mets fan. It has to do with being a baseball fan. It's just hard because if you're saying all these guys are contributing to winning, then technically none of them to me are an MVP. An MVP is a guy that puts your players and the rest of your team ahead because he's playing. If you didn't have Harper or Zimmerman or Rendon or any, you're saying you got 4 guys that could be MVPs. So technically none of them really stand out in the words that you're using.
If Harper goes down, does this team still win the way they do?
Yes.
You think they do?
That's how you're making it sound by saying that these
'Cause
guys
we
are
have
all
so
top
many
5
top
candidates.
five
I'm saying
players.
that, but now
I say yes, they do still win. Do
Chris?
they win to the extent they're winning? Maybe not, but they're still a winning team easy.
Chris, if Harper goes down, let's say Harper goes down for a month, is this team still in first place after the month?
Yeah.
By the margin they are still, or maybe they lose a couple games?
I mean, maybe a couple games, but that's baseball, I mean, 2 games is nothing. You can go on an 8-game losing streak and still Still be all right.
Speaking of games ahead, Houston is still 17 up in their division.
Wow.
They'll
Real
have
quick,
that.
dude.
They're going to
You
have
just
that.
answered the question of what is baseball.
What?
Because that is baseball, he said.
Houston?
So we now know what baseball is. That is right there.
What? Houston?
You might
There
go
you
up
go.
7, you might go down 7, but that's baseball.
Yeah, what's a couple games?
Now, real quick, here's my question before we move to
What's
the
up?
last chance to you real quick. Houston's up 17 games. Do they have this division wrapped up before September? Or first
Yeah,
week of
I mean,
September?
Probably.
Honestly, man, I don't see them losing it. They're
For
30.
17 games?
I think I looked
But
at
I
it
mean,
yesterday, 30,
when they clinch the-
33 games over 500, man.
When they clinch the division, do you think it'll probably be like the first week of September? Now they'll clinch the division very early. Do you think that's going to hurt them, or do you think they're still going to keep going with players?
Nah, they're still going to power through.
It depends, man.
See, I feel like
'Cause
baseball's
different
not like-
different players
Isn't
they
like
react
the NFL.
differently.
I feel like, baseball, you can't really sit that much. If someone's on a hot streak, you really don't want to take them out for 4 or 3 games. The NFL, you take them out for one, that's fine. The Nats are, wow, I didn't realize they went up this much. They're up 13 now. I swear to God, last week they were just up 9.
You always look at the loss column. I never go by games behind. So you look at the loss because you're not going to gain that. So because they might have played 3 more games, but even if it's 13 games, but the Mets have 15 less losses, they're technically 15 games behind. That's the way I always look at it, because you can't lose losses. They're there. They're not going to go away.
Nats-
You can add wins, but you can't deduct losses.
Yeah, the Nats are up 13. The Dodgers are up 12.5. And then the other side, like I said, you have Seattle down 17 to Houston. And Tampa Bay, like you said, when they made the trade, they're 2.5 out of Boston. So, and the Orioles.
Yeah,
just
Tampa's a
completely
shockingly
taken over.
good team, and they're in a series with the Yankees right now. So again, a lot could be said. And they're saying the Rays are going to continue to make moves. So it's a team to watch, because you see that AL East. I mean, from top to bottom, any team at any point could make a move, and change that whole entire division. So.
Yep. Okay, so before we move on, obviously I said in the show today we're, I didn't say it in the
Real
beginning,
quick,
normally-
we talked about your Nationals. You talked about hitting. How concerned are you about Strasburg? Do you think you have to add a starting pitcher?
From all the reports I've heard, I'm not too concerned, but here's the reason why I still want to add a starting pitcher. I want a third guy for the playoffs, because Joe Ross is gone for the year. He had Tommy John. He's gone. I like Gio. I like Rourke. But if we got someone like Verlander, I would be very comfortable with
or
Scherzer.
you, Mr. Darvish?
Even you, but I would rather have, I'm going to be honest, I like Darvish. I would rather have Verlander only because he's been there. He's been to the top.
Oh, man, when I told him this earlier, he's like, I'd rather have Darvish. And I told him, I said, you want the veteran there. Darvish might not be able to pitch in those situations.
I've thought about it.
Now, he says he thought that, though. He doesn't give me the credit.
I said I thought about it. After I talked to you, I thought about it.
After I told you.
I want someone who's been there before. And I think a rotation of Scherzer, Verlander, Strauss, and then you have Gio for a game 4 in case Scherzer's not ready yet or something like that. That's a hell of a rotation to go into the playoffs with. That's almost like that rotation the Phillies had. It was Holiday. Who else was it that one
Can
year?
we not talk about playoffs though?
Why?
Because we're just
whatever.
gonna
Talk about
jinx
it more.
it.
Who was
Talk
that?
about
Who
it.
was
Just gonna jinx it.
Who was that one year the
How
Phillies
many
had?
games you up by again?
13. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine to get in it.
Yeah.
Just go look
I'm
back at
trying
the
to ask a
Go
question.
look
Anthony
with
will
the
know
Mets.
this more than me.
Hey,
What was that
what-
rotation the Phillies had that one year? Was Holiday? Was it Hamels? Or what was it? It was
Holiday, Hamels, and Cliff Lee.
yeah, that's the one. That's the year they won it, right? I believe.
I don't know if Holiday was there when they won it. I
What
don't
were you
remember.
about to say, Paul?
I was gonna ask. You were saying. Anthony's question was, "Are you concerned about?"
I said
Mr. Strasburg.
I'm not. No.
What's wrong with? Is
He
he
had
injured?
achiness in like his arm, so they put him on the 10-day DL, let him miss a start. But all the experts, everything I've read has said there's nothing to worry about. He was just a little sore.
Okay.
There's no structural damage. No MRI was needed. They're giving him 10 days to rest.
Did he
and he'll
have
be back.
Tommy John before?
Yes.
Okay,
He had it. Yes.
gotcha.
A lot of national
gotcha.
players have Tommy John.
All right, gotcha.
So before we move on to the NFL and our top 10, which we're continuing today and we're finishing it up, so that way we can hear all of Anthony's. I want to talk about the documentary Last Chance U came out, where players get a second chance. Obviously, former Gatesburg grad Tremonte Carter was on the show. He got signed to Pitt, so good for him. But I want to talk about one Pacific player, which is DeAndre Johnson. If you don't know DeAndre Johnson, he was at Florida State. He was pretty hell of an athlete, good football player. Kicked off the team, punched the woman in a bar. Probably one of the heated moments where he realized he shouldn't. He did interviews. He realized he shouldn't have done it. And you watch him on the show. Now, I don't know what they portray or what they don't portray in the show. It's very selective.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
it's
he
edited
looks-
the way they want to
But
show.
it looks like, but out of all the players that were kicked off teams or whatever, he's the only one that seems like he's had his head on straight. Like he seems very remorseful. He knows what he's did, and it's he was a leader of that team. He looked like a Division I player. Unfortunately, no Power 5 conferences offered him or nothing. He got a very late offer from Florida Atlantic, where Lane Kiffin is now the coach, the former OC from Alabama. So here's my thing. They showed the video of what happened. Before he, now I'm not instigating women violence or nothing. None of us agree with that. Obviously, I know you don't, Anthony don't, Paul doesn't. But it shows that before the act happened, the woman, or girl in particular, you can see her shouting at him. She pushed him away from the bar. She punched him first. And as a guy, I'm sure we all can agree when you're drunk, if someone punches you, you may not think properly, and your first reaction would probably be to hit the person back. Let's be honest. If you're a guy, if you're drunk, I mean, you can almost say that may almost be an initial reaction.
Well, look, you
Can't
can
say that.
You can defend yourself.
Yes.
I'm not saying punch the girl.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying
But
defend yourself.
But the thing that came out after is that they showed video of her and she seemed like, oh, I'm the innocent little victim. He punched me right away, and it's just like she did all this to him. He shouldn't have did it. But my question to you guys is, I'll answer it first. Do you feel like he should have been crucified the way he did? I think, especially after going to East Mississippi and not getting in Power 5 offers, I feel like after watching him through the show, I feel like he seems like he was on the path of remorse. He knew what he did wrong. I believe he should have gotten a bigger offer than what he did. What he did was wrong. We saw Ray Rice, he got basically crucified from the lead.
I mean, that was going to be my example.
Yeah.
If
But
that's
Ray
the
Rice,
if you think that
but here's the huge difference between Ray Rice and him. Ray Rice threw the damn girl in the damn staircase. Johnson was just a straight. He got punched and it was like a.
I mean,
I'm not trying to say that
a punch is a punch.
I'm not saying it's okay for what he did. My question is, do you think he should have gotten a second chance, or do you think his being crucified from Power 5 was reasonable, or do you think maybe he deserved it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough call because everybody is different. Everybody reacts different. You can't say that, if somebody punches you, you're going to punch him back. I mean, whether you're drunk, whether you're sober, whether you're high, everyone reacts to situations differently. So you can't say that, it's kind of justified because she punched me first kind of thing.
I'm going to get crucified by people by saying this.
I'm not saying, maybe that's not,
it's just a topic to bring up.
Maybe that's not what you said, but in my opinion.
Not what I'm trying to mean, but I'm not trying to say it's okay for what he did. It's not.
In my opinion, I think, unfortunately, football is a business, and when you're trying to, and that's the way that colleges are thinking. That's the way that NFL football teams are thinking.
That's true.
How can we make the most money? And if people are going to boycott the team, if people are not going to, purchase merchandise, if people are not going to go to the games because you guys have signed a certain player, then that's the way it is, and it's unfortunate that that's the way it is. It's about greed. It's about money.
Like during the show, he seems like a good kid. Like he knew what he did wrong.
Yeah.
He was one of the leaders on the team. He didn't get any trouble on the show, and even when you read about the show and read about what he did there, that was off air. Never got in trouble. Went to class, did everything he was supposed to do. Because it seems like he was trying to get back on what he did. Because they said before that, even Florida State, nothing. He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
That was the one thing he did wrong. There was no academic issues, no other kind of drug issues. It was just literally the one thing. So Anthony, do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's.
Do you think he should have been given a chance to maybe
Anthony.
get another big university, or do you think he gets what he deserved going to Florida Atlantic?
All right. Here's the thing. I'll address both situations. First and foremost, under no circumstances do you lay your hands on a woman. Don't care what the situation is. You don't. He could have did many other things. I understand she punched him. She was yelling at him. He could have grabbed her hand, pushed her away, got someone's attention, be like, hey, I need you to, assist me in this situation. If you have to, you don't want to involve, but you get the police. You don't hit her back. There's no justified means for that. She was obviously not in the right frame of mind like he was. You just don't. That never should get to that situation. And like you said, all of us here, all four of us, do not condone that situation happening the way it did.
Not.
So I want to make sure that is shown to everyone that's watching, that we do not condone that those actions were taking place. Now, it's unfortunate that these situations happen because, like you said, this kid was smart, academic-wise, sports-wise, had a great, future. But that's unfortunately the price of being, in the light of fame. You see it with a lot of guys, like you said, Ray Rice, talented player, made a huge mistake doing what he did, and he'll never play the game of football. Never play the game of football again, probably in the NFL.
Yeah, professionally.
He never will.
He's not going to play again.
it has nothing to do with him and his ability to play. It has to do with the fact that he made a very stupid mistake, and he's going to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for this kid, he's getting a chance. Maybe it's not at FSU, but he's going to play at FAU, a school that, is Division I. It might not be, the same reputation as FSU, obviously, not a national juggernaut when it comes to football, but he's still going to have an opportunity to show that what he did was wrong and, and right that wrong and play the game of football, the thing that he loves, and show that, he is remorseful for what he did. But again, there's no room for that kind of actions on anyone's behalf.
Even if he has a great career, do you think he'll get drafted, or do you think teams will pass on him?
I mean, look at Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't even think about
Joe
it.
Mixon had that huge ordeal with him, and a lot of teams were still scared character-wise. And if he doesn't have those issues, he's a top maybe a top 5 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential as a running back, and the Bengals saw what they liked, and Marvin Lewis and they said we're going to work with him. He hasn't had those issues, and and he seems like he's reformed. So maybe this is something that they'll see in this kid by him playing, and playing a having a great college career, and they're like, let's give this kid a chance. We know he had a rough past, but like you said, you don't want to judge someone based off of one decision. But again, it's just not the decision you should be making. So we'll see. A lot could happen between now and then.
I mean, I don't condone what he did. I wish the kid luck. I hope this road to redemption works out for him, because on the show he seems like a really good kid. Another guy on the show, Chauncey, I can't remember his last name, got busted Georgia 3 times smoking marijuana.
Jeez.
They found out on the show. They said on the show, they asked what his GPA was at Georgia. 3.82.
Damn.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Smart kid.
Just because you smoke or something like that doesn't mean you're
just
dumb.
wanted to smoke.
You're right.
He'll be at Mississippi State, so good for him. He got a good school. All right, let's move on now to what the big thing was our top 10. Me and Chris did tight ends. So this week we're going to move on. We're going to, because Anthony's going to be gone for a while, so we're going to do all 3 tonight, because I don't get his opinion. So let's start with
Sorry, we got time.
wide receivers. I'll go first,
Okay.
and we'll do what we do, during the fantasy season.
What are we going to just so I wasn't here, are you going to do, we're all going to say number 10, or you're going to say your 10
we'll
through 1?
do I'm going to do my 10, Chris going to do his 10, you're going to do your 10. In between, if you want to say something, go ahead, but it's just more of just a reveal right now.
Okay.
My question before we even get there, I was kind of thinking not necessarily fantasy-wise, right? Are we thinking fantasy-wise?
No, this is pure talent.
Okay.
I asked Matt the same thing, because I did it based off of season, what they did last season and what they are overall, not what their fantasy points are. Because we talked about for quarterbacks, I know it's getting ahead of it, but Eli, I love the Giants. I don't have him in my top 10, and he said maybe fantasy-wise he might be better this year with the addition of Marshall and all that. But I said we're not. He's like, don't do it based off fantasy, though. Do it based off their line of work in this past season.
So I will start with the wide receivers. Then Chris will start with, after we go through, then you'll do running backs. He'll do, what we do during fantasy, we'll go in order. So I got number 1, Antonio Brown. I think we're all going to agree on that. 2, I have
going 1 up.
Huh?
I was going to go 10 down. You're going 1 up.
Yeah, you got to do 10.
All right, 10 down.
Yeah,
okay.
go down.
All right, 10, I have
Spoiler.
T.Y. Hilton.
Okay.
I like the reliability he has, especially, he can be an outside, he can be a slot, he can move all over the field. Number 9, Amari Cooper. I like the size. I mean, he went in the camp. They said even bigger. I think he's a great asset to that team. And I think without him, Carr does not do what he does. I think Cooper makes a lot of that offensive up. 8, Jordy Nelson. Pure reason he's in this top 8. Top 10. You saw what happened when Nelson went down. Rodgers had trouble getting the ball around. Obviously, he was able to mix around. But when Nelson was gone that one year, Rodgers did not have the season he normally has.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, DeAndre Hopkins. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is, the guy puts up numbers. He could have Nate Scudfield back there, and he'll put up numbers. 6. Now, this is where it gets tricky for me because there's so many good players. Number 6, I'm going to put Mike Evans. I'm pretty sure I have him high, according to probably some people, but that's where I have him. 5, I'm going to put Des Bryant. 4, A.J. Green. I think he's a tremendous athlete. I think he can go. I mean, how many last-second touchdowns this guy's come down with? I know one, for example, helped me get into the fantasy playoffs over Chris.
I can't say it, or else we won't be able to be on children's YouTube channels.
Does it rhyme with yuck?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, shuck.
Yo, shuck.
Number 3, I have Odell Beckham Jr. Don't have to explain that. 2, Julio Jones. And number 1, like I said earlier, Antonio Brown. Best wide receiver in the game. He's going to get you over 100 catches, over probably 120 catches every year. And Brown is just the guy. He's the most reliable person. He knows what Big Ben is thinking. If Big Ben starts rolling out the pocket, Brown's already going to start moving 50 yards down the field.
Mm-hmm.
He has that connection with Ben where he knows where if he's looking back.
I think he's the highest paid receiver, right?
Yeah. And if Ben starts rolling.
For a reason.
Yeah. If Ben starts rolling, Brown is gone.
Yeah.
And if the DBs don't pay attention, it's an 80-yard bomb every time.
Yeah. You can't cover him for more
Nope.
than a couple seconds. After that, he's gone.
Yep. Chris, let's go with your top 10.
All right, cool. So I had 9 of your 10 on there.
Awesome.
There's one guy.
I'm going to guess
All
it's
right.
going to be Cooper.
What?
Is it Cooper or Hilton
Who's what?
that you don't have on mine?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
really?
We'll go.
All right.
So I have it based on previous seasons plus my predictions on this season. Kind of a mixture of both. I think that's what we were going for.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10 probably will surprise both of you. This is the guy that replaced who you have on your list. I have Brandon Cooks in a new place
I like
with
that
Tom
pick.
Brady.
I like that.
I mean, he could be a sneaky top 10. I mean, he was top 10 with Drew Brees, and now that he's even, he's in an offense that's more efficient, I would say. I mean, Drew Brees was
He's going to be a top
slanging
5 fantasy wide receiver.
He certainly could be,
When that
especially if we got PPR.
With Edelman?
Yeah, I think so. I really think so. I mean, this with Gronk, with Edelman, with Cooks, I think that this team could go 16-0 again. I really do think so. So I have him right there at 10 because I think his potential on this new team, that's just a winning team, unfortunately, for a lot of people. But so number 9, I have DeAndre Hopkins. I agree with you. He's just a big, freakish athlete, and just throw the ball up and he's going to catch it. Kind of like a Calvin Johnson-esque, just throw it up, he'll catch it, he'll go up and grab it. Number 8, I have Des Bryant. Again, he's an athletic freak. He was drafted a lot higher than 8 last year. But with the way that their offense is moving, it's running the ball first. When you've got Ezekiel Elliott as your running back, they're not going to throw the ball very often. So to me, I think that drops him down a little bit, but still in top 10. Number 7, I have Amari Cooper. I agree with you. I think him and Derek Carr are getting on the same page. They are on the same page, and I just hope that relationship progresses and they continue to grow together and become Pro Bowlers and get deep in the playoffs. Number 6, I have T.Y. Hilton. I think he's just too good. And Andrew Luck, I think, will have a bounce back year this year.
I hope to God not.
Why? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a bounce back year. A little preview to our quarterback top 10s. AJ Green, I have as number 5. Again, he's just a really long, tall, freakish receiver. Always seems to be clutch when Andy Dalton needs him. He can throw it up, Hail Marys, winning touchdowns, game over. Number 4, I have Jordy Nelson. I just think he is...
Jordy Nelson, number 4.
Yeah, I think he is just that important to this offense, and he is productive. I mean, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the tallest guy, but he gets the job done. He's your typical blue-collar receiver. He just gets the job done. And then top 3 is pretty much the same as everybody. Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, and Antonio Brown. I mean, those 3, a lot of people can
You have
debate.
Beckham too?
I have Beckham too. Yeah, I have Beckham too. Even
Over
with
Julio?
Over Julio, even with Brandon Marshall coming in, I just think that actually will help him a little bit. He may not get as many balls thrown his way, but there will be less double coverage on him because you can't just put double coverage on him and expect Marshall to not get the ball. I mean, both of them are going to have good seasons. I think, like I said, not as many balls are going to go his way, but the balls that do go his way, he's going to be able to catch them and make big plays. So that's my top 10.
All right, Anthony.
Go
your
ahead,
turn.
Anthony. Let's see what you got.
Are these comments that are coming through right now?
I don't know. I don't have it up.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
you got
over
it
my
up?
face. I don't know if I see. Does anyone else see this?
Oh.
That's why I didn't know if there were
Now
comments
it's over
that we were
Chris's
seeing right now.
face.
How did that come up?
I don't know.
All right,
That was
so
funny. That was
so
funny.
you
Yeah,
left
so-
off.
Did that just
You
come
left off Mike Evans on yours. Was that right?
I left off Mike Evans just because with the introduction of Deshaun Jackson
Boo.
and And I think they just picked up a running back too, didn't they? I think there's just going to be a different.
They've added a lot in the offseason.
They've added a lot of pieces, and I'm not
O.J.
sure.
Howard they drafted.
I'm not sure if he's going to be a top 10. I probably have him at like 11 or 12 because I think he's still a great talent. I just don't know if he sneaks in the top 10 for me.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I have Matt. I think me and you have the exact same 10, just different order.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, I have T.Y. Hilton, again, for a lot of reasons you guys say.
Yeah.
He's a great receiver, for Andrew Luck. Luck had a really off season.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to have a bounce back year. Again, agree with Chris on that one. Number 9, I have DeAndre Hopkins, another great tall target.
Yeah.
That they have there in Houston. Again, the quarterback situation was a little bit of an issue there, so that kind of hurt him.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out. Number 8, Amari Cooper. What more can you say about him that you guys haven't already said? The guy is a solid player. Yeah, exactly. AC/DC. 7, Des Bryant. Hate to say it because he's a Cowboy, but heck of a player.
Yeah.
So he definitely can make plays on the ball. Number 6, Jordy Nelson.
All right.
Huge player for the Packers. That showed a lot. That hurt them when he was out.
Yeah.
And to have him back in the lineup with Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, and now that possibly Montgomery's going to be a running back, not a receiver anymore.
Oh,
that's
really?
really
Okay.
going to be huge. Yeah, they're saying they might go with him as the starting running back now, the way he played last season down the stretch when everyone got hurt.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we'll see.
now that they really don't have a running back, right?
Yeah, I think Lacey. I know Lacey's gone. And I think they might have left. Whatchamacallit, Starks go too, if I'm
Starks?
not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
So,
think,
yeah, I
but
guess
they
that's-
might still have him. But
That's Montgomery then. That's his job.
yeah. So then we get to the top 5. Number 5, I have AJ Green. I like him. I don't know. I always feel like he's right there on the brink of the top 3,
Yeah.
but he's just missing something that I just don't know what it is. It has nothing to do. He's a talented player, can make great catches, but I just can never let him break that top 3 for some reason for me.
He just
And then
seems to
number
be
f-
clutch when it matters. But
Yeah,
then he
that
will
is
have
huge.
those dud games. He will have those dud games, and I think that's what keeps him out of the top 3, the elite 3.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I have Mike Evans.
Okay.
If it wasn't for Odell Beckham in the 2014 draft, Mike Evans would have been the star of that class possibly,
All
and
right.
he probably would be a lot more talked about. But those two both came in at the same time, and they've both done really well since they got drafted. And that brings me to number 3, which is Odell Beckham Jr. From the New York Giants. Obviously, my team. I voted with based on stats, not on my heart. So I put him at 3.
Yeah.
And then at 2, I have Julio Jones. To me, when it comes to size, speed, he is just fantastic. He definitely is better with getting up and going to get the catches, but that's where number 1 just has it beat because you just can't. There's just something about Antonio Brown that no one can match in production. The guy can, like you said, he
Yeah.
can play the long ball. His speed is ridiculous. For a guy that's, I think, not even 6 feet tall, he makes plays over, whenever he needs to. And he plays a lot bigger than he actually is. So
yeah, that's
Antonio
exactly
Brown
what I
to
was
me,
gonna say. Exactly what I was
Antonio
gonna
Brown to me is the guy.
Yep.
So
We all agree. We all agree with
Yeah.
it, number 1. I mean, and I think probably 90% of NFL viewers would probably agree that Antonio Brown is the best.
yeah,
Hands
I
down.
feel like Julio and OBJ are interchangeable at 2 and 3, but
yeah.
I feel like Antonio Brown is 1. Is not someone it's not a 1A 1B. I think he is 1.
He is
and then
1.
Julio or Odell is 2 or
They're
3.
2A,
Well, you just
2B.
made a non-fan as James is a little upset you don't have Mike Evans. He's
I'm,
a Tampa Bay fan. I mean,
I'm not a Tampa Bay fan at all, and I like Mike Evans. I don't know. To me, he was a little bit inconsistent. I mean, he's going to have those games where he's just an absolute freak. Him and Winston are probably going to get on the same page eventually on a consistent basis.
all I want to ask James is how are those crab legs?
Oh, Lord.
Moving on.
All right, let's go with the running back. Chris, you start us off.
Oh, crap. All right. I didn't leave any space for – I was basically just marking who put who where, but
Yeah, all right.
it's all good. All right. So, running backs. Number 10. This was a little hard for me. Like, top 4, top 5
Easy.
were pretty easy, and then after that, you drop out of the upper echelon of running backs. So, number 10 might come as a surprise to you guys, but I think he was clutch for me last year, and I think he can, now that now that he has this opportunity to be the starting, their star, I guess, I'm going to go with Jordan Howard from Chicago. Again, he was clutch for me last year as a filler. I think he's going to be clutch this year too. Lamar Miller from Houston is going to be number 9. I think he's just a good talent stuck on bad teams. I mean, he could have done a lot better in Miami if they used him. I think Houston is going to find a way to use him. He's number 9 for sure. Top 10 for sure. Devontae Freeman, number 8. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Atlanta's offense this year. I mean, they were so prolific last year. I don't know if they'll be able to replicate that, but I still think he's a top 10 talent. Number 7, Jay Ajayi from Miami. He had a couple dud games last year, but he is also another freak that they've just, how many yards did he get in that one game? Was it
200 plus?
Yeah, I was going to say it was over 200.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just a freak, and I think he's definitely deserving of a top 10 spot. Melvin Gordon for LA Chargers, I think, is number 6. First year was a bust. Second year came back resurgent, and I think he continues on that path to success. Mm-hmm. Top 5, you were happy about this when you saw my list. I think DeMarco Murray, again, is just an absolute beast who was stuck on the wrong team with the Eagles. Now that he's on the Titans and they're utilizing him properly, I think he's a top 5 talent. Number 4, LaShawn McCoy. Again, a good player stuck on an average, mediocre team, but I think he's just got too much speed, too much cut ability to not be a top 4 player. Number 3, I have Ezekiel Elliott. That offensive line and is just too big and too strong that he's able to do whatever he wants. So definitely top 3 for me. Number 2 and number 1, I think we all know who it is. It's one of those things that's highly debated right now. I think number 2, I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell. And number 1, I'm going to go with David Johnson. And the only reason I say David Johnson wins is because he is already asked for the ball more. And he said if he touches the ball 30 times, he'd be happy a game. So I think more touches is going to equal more success for David Johnson. So
right. Anthony,
my
your
top
turn.
10.
All right, fair enough. Number 10. This was tough, and Matt, you and I went back and forth about this. Should this guy break the top 10, or does he not coming out of retirement?
I had him in my mind.
He
I had
missed
him in
it.
my mind.
And I put number 10. I put Todd Gurley. I think his rookie season, he was a star.
Yep.
And I just
The
think
problem
that
was last year
I think he had a horrible season. It just the team
they
just
filled
looked
the box.
like they were.
They put 9 in the box because they couldn't pass the ball.
The team
It's not
just
his
looked
fault.
rough. They don't have an identity, and that was the biggest thing. Now they got a new coach coming in this season, so let's see what he does. But I think Gurley's potential still, and he just seems like just an absolute just stud. So I think that he'll definitely have a bounce back year. Number 9, I have DeMarco Murray. I think Murray is a great player. I think Derrick Henry, the more he gets adapted into the offense, is going to continue to get touches, and I think that's where Murray's potential and
drop off a little bit.
Stats will drop off. Not that he's not going to still be a great player. Right. I just don't think his numbers are going to be as elevated as past seasons because of that. Because what we saw, the sample of Henry this season, he looked good. So this past season, I should say.
Right.
Number 8 is a guy that really came up out of nowhere, and that's Jordan Howard for the Bears. Mm-hmm. He showed some great playmaking ability there for the Bears on a team, again, that had not many bright spots in their season. And after the draft, doesn't seem like they're really looking forward to the season either, but he definitely seems like someone that's going to be helpful.
They're going to lean on him.
Yeah. Number 7, I got Jay Ajayi. Mm-hmm. Again, what Chris said, the guy has the capability of just making explosive games where he's putting off 200-plus yards, and he had 3 or 4 of those games where he was putting a lot of yards in, and he was able to make big plays, so he really separated himself from the rest of the pack when it came to the running back by committee there in Miami. 6, Devonta Freeman, out of the backfield, running the ball, whatever it is between him and Coleman, but I think he's going to get majority. Again, he just shows to have the more consistent playability of the two of them. Mm-hmm. Then you get to your top 5. Now you go opposite here. In his rookie season, a lot of people thought, man, they really drafted high on him. He really doesn't look that good. And then last year, Melvin Gordon really showed up and showed why that he was drafted by the Chargers as early as he was. So I got Gordon breaking the top 5.
Yep.
LaShawn McCoy, to me, probably the most elusive running back out of all of them when it comes to cuts. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. When he was when he left the Eagles and went to the Bills, was one of the happiest days for me. I'm sure Chris can agree, being a Redskins fan, because he would just, I mean, the guy just has an uncanny ability to run the ball when it comes to it. So 3, Ezekiel Elliott, like Chris said, offensive line's amazing. Young kid. I don't want to give him the credit to where I see people putting him at number 1 yet. I think 1 season's too much. Not enough, I should say, to put someone there. And then for 2 and 1, hard decision, but I went opposite here. I went Johnson at 2, and I went Bell at 1. I'm just a huge fan of Bell. Not much I could say. I mean, the guy missed 3 games last year and still finished right in the top in the stats. So it just shows you the ability that he really does have. But don't take away from David Johnson, because I think all-purpose yards, when you put them all together, he was landsliding people in yards, for the season. So those 2 guys, that here, unlike the receivers, is a 1A, 1B thing. You wouldn't be wrong either way to me with those 2.
Barring injury or suspension.
All right, so here we go. 10, Todd Gurley, like I said, wasn't his fault. They just stacked the bots. He really couldn't get anything. 9, Freeman, just because of what he can be used for. 8, here's something none of you guys include. I'm going with Marshawn Lynch at 8.
Oh, Lord.
I'm putting him there out of retirement. I think he's.
Who'd you have at 9? I just missed it.
Freeman.
Okay.
Lynch is going to be a top 10 back in this league. I think he's going to be a steal in any fantasy because people are going to forget about him.
Oh, yeah.
If
he's there in like the 5th, 6th round, I'm taking him.
I got Lynch. I think he's going to come back still being a bruiser. I think some of those videos you see, he's still in shape, especially in soccer when he decides to pick up a ball and run with it instead. 7, Jordan Howard. I think they're going to focus on the run game a lot because of Mitch Trubisky. Which sits Ajayi.
Okay.
Jay, whatever.
Jay Ajayi.
Yeah. 5, DeMarco Murray, just because he's finally an offense with another good offensive line, and he showed last year what he can do when he has an offensive line. 4, LaShawn McCoy. Doesn't matter what team he's on, he's still going to produce. 3, Elliott, and I was really debating putting Elliott down further. Like
higher
4
up,
or
like
5,
4 or 5?
like 4 or 5, only because I think it's more the offensive line than it could be him.
Yeah, but
I think you put anyone behind that offensive line, they're going to run.
But he's the one behind the offensive line.
Yes.
So
I have him there. 2, I'm going to go David Johnson at 2.
Okay.
I prefer Le'Veon Bell at 1. I think Le'Veon Bell is the better all-around back for me. I like him better, and the fact that if he had all 16 games last year, I think he would have led the lead in rushing. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
So, let's move on to the last one, which will be quarterbacks.
All right, this time Anthony.
And the fact that if he had all...
This has got to be the hardest one, man.
Well, what?
I don't know what that was. That was weird.
Yeah.
That was Paul did something. We'll run through this real quick. So, Anthony, let's go. Top 10.
This is definitely the hardest one for me. I've gone back and forth. I mean, I wrote my list. I crossed people's names out, moved them down, moved them back up.
Yeah,
So,
I've done that.
This was, to me, I'm still not even 100% confident in this list, but here goes nothing. Number 10, I have Jameis Winston. I think that he continues to show that he is prolific when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Mike Evans there, and like Chris said, he now has Deshaun Jackson. He has O.J. Howard. Doug Martin's coming back healthy in the offseason. So I just like the team that they're putting around him and what he's already did with just Evans, really. So you put all those guys, on the same team, and I think this is going to be an offense to really watch out for. And I know I'm missing somebody else that they brought in, but I know like the big guys with Evans, Howard, and Deshaun.
Jackson.
So I'm sure James will correct me in the chat if I miss somebody. But I like him a lot there. Number 9, I got Russell Wilson. Again, mobility there in a quarterback is a huge deal. So I like him. Number 8, despite his age, Drew Brees is still a top 10 quarterback to me. I don't have him as high. Originally, I was going to put him a little bit lower on the countdown, but I decided against it. 7, Cam Newton. He's going to come back this year, have a much better season. I mean, the Panthers, really no one expected them to come out and just basically crap the bed with the way they did this past season after making it to the Super Bowl the previous. So that was a rough one. 6, you got Big Ben. He's just reliable time and time again. And when you have people like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, who are both my number 1s at receiver and running back, it's kind of hard to argue with it. And he gets back Martavius Bryant this offseason. And he has a couple other, weapons there already. But the addition of Martavius Bryant back after being suspended is a huge plus. Number 5, I have Matthew Stafford.
Ooh,
I think that his arm is just out of all the guys, I think his arm is one of the best, if not the best. If you look at the numbers of what he can do throwing the ball, I know he has a lot of attempts, but when he actually is on and there's other people around him to help him, his throwing ability is right there with the best of them. So I have Stafford at 5. Number 4, I have Derek Carr. That injury last year, I think, really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he's not injured, we're looking at AFC title game between the Patriots and the Raiders. Well, I'm sorry, the Patriots would have played the Raiders in the divisional round, but that would have been a really tough game for the Patriots, and I think we might not see the Patriots as Super Bowl champions as easily as they were. So top 3 now, we go to it. 3, I got Matty Ice. I know he 28-3 blew that lead, but that doesn't change the fact that
He
the
didn't
guy
blow it.
is,
His coaches did. Don't blame him.
Yeah, I agree. You know, a lot of people argue that it was his fault, but again, the plays were miscorrectly called. But I still think Matt Ryan is a great quarterback. And then number 2, I got Aaron Rodgers. Well, I mean, what can you say? Like Stephen A. Smith would say, he's a bad man. I mean, the guy's got amazing ability to see what other quarterbacks don't see when he's in the pocket, and even when he's not looking at something, he'll wait till a play opens. I mean, you go to that play against the Cowboys when he threw that to the sideline to Jared Cook. I mean, the vision he has is just unbelievable. So, number 1, the GOAT, Tom Brady, TB12. Not much more you really need to say about that. He's the best. There's really, to me, there's no argument here that this guy is the best there is. So,
minus the fact that he might have cheated. You know,
It's here or there.
Debatable.
He's still good. He's still
Debatable.
He's still got the ability.
He still has
Still
good regular
debatable.
season. So,
He's still got the ability. I got to give it to Brady. I got to give the.
well, mine is very different
nod.
from yours.
this one is different. I'm different too.
10.
I was just gonna say. I will say that I had Mariota and Luck right outside, and Kirk and Eli, and I wrote somebody else. I don't know who that was. They were right in my top 15. Those were the next 5. So it was close, but to me, it was number 10 was really close between Luck and Jameis for me.
Okay. 10. I'm going to have Captain Kirk Cousins. I just like what he's done ever since he got with the offense.
Kirk.
It's Kirk, not Kurt. How can your own GM not
It's
get
Kirk.
your name? That's what I meant, Kirk.
Yeah,
I
because
said
you
it
said
wrong.
you said the same name.
Kirk. Sorry, I said his name wrong. But still, I'm not the GM of the
Oh,
team.
God,
Shouldn't that be
yeah.
embarrassed if the GM of the team can't get it right?
Yeah.
To me, it was.
That was me. Sorry.
All right, so I have Cousins at 10. I just like what he's been doing the past couple of years, the ability he has. 9, I'm going to have Wilson. The ability to throw and scramble is very rare in this league nowadays. Well, I mean, I think it's a rare quality to have.
To be able to do both well,
Is what he does.
right?
He does.
Because he was there with Kaepernick and with Griffin, and I can't remember if there was someone else, but
that was it.
the only person who has continued to have success
And
is
he knows how to slide.
Russell Wilson.
8, Derek Carr. Like I said, you take him off that team, they suck. I really believe that.
Yeah, we saw that in the playoffs.
Yeah, highest paid quarterback now. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
7, Mr. Cam Newton. I know he had a down year, but like I said, he's another guy who can just sling the ball around, but then he's big enough to take the hits. Like he'll do a straight quarterback dive with no worries. 6, I have Andrew Luck. I feel like he's had a couple injuries last season, but you saw his rookie year, the year after, what he's capable of. He can carve up that AFC South. I know I'm a Titans fan. I know I don't want it to happen, but this guy, if he's on his game, he can carve up anyone the best there is. 5, Drew Brees. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback. He still puts, no matter what they take away from him, they take away Jimmy Graham. No matter what they do, it may be the offense because they throw the ball a lot, but this guy, no matter his age, his height, he still just puts up numbers.
Yeah.
4, Big Ben. I mean, the guy's an animal. I mean, he'll be halfway to the ground, and he'll still make a 10-yard completion out of nowhere. 3, I have Matty Ice as well. And, Anthony, I'm going to agree with you the top 3. I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. I don't know. Why? What's he saying?
No, I'm just saying I can put it up there now.
No. Don't do that.
Sorry.
Wait, what are we putting up there?
Nothing. I'm going back with James because he's upset because me and you somehow we don't include Buccaneers, and he's a little bit hurt. So I asked if he wanted a tissue.
Oh, okay.
So 3, I put Matt Ryan. 4, Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, I mean, do we have to explain any more with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, Anthony pretty much nailed it. And 1, Anthony, I'm going to go with the GOAT, Tom Brady. I mean, he has all the rings. Obviously, he's missing a couple, 2 because of your man right there, Eli. Otherwise, he'd probably – obviously, you know what? If it wasn't for a David Tyree helmet catch And Julian Edelman, was it Edelman who dropped that one ball? It wasn't Edelman, was it Amador?
Wes Welker. Hey, don't discount the wins, man. They won. Don't
Yeah.
discount them.
I'm not. I'm just
All right.
saying.
Don't. If it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that.
Tyree would never be able to replicate that catch ever again. Why am I waving
agree
these
with you on
around
that.
like I'm a teacher going, "You're a bad kid"? Tom
So
Brady.
who did you miss on your top 10 that I didn't have? Just so I could see how much we varied.
I
You
don't
didn't
have
have Stafford?
Stafford or Winston? Did you
Wow,
have Did
Stafford.
you have Newton in yours? No, you had Luck.
Yes,
you
I had
Luck.
Newton.
You
I
didn't
had
have
Newton.
Luck
I didn't have Luck.
or Cousins. So there's our two
Yeah, you had Luck and
substitutes.
Cousins. I had Stafford and Winston. Which
All right, Chris.
Cousins?
Time
I
for your-
understand it's DC based, but you're far off base on top 10.
I like Cousins. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So for who's the guy? Who are you fighting with right now? Who'd you offer a tissue?
James.
James. Okay, James. I have Jameis Winston as a top 10 quarterback. Okay, so let's chill for a second.
You have any crabs?
I think he's basically everything that
Good.
Anthony said. You know, you've got Mike Evans, who was a beast receiver. You add Deshaun Jackson. You add O.J. Howard. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up at this point. I mean, well, I guess you could go down, but he's got everything it takes and everything he's around him to just be a top 10 quarterback. I have Kirk Cousins as number 9.
Sorry.
You know, I think he's going to ball out. Even though he lost his top 2 receivers, I think he's going to ball out because he's going to ball out. He's going to be a big FU to Redskins. Not Redskins Nation, but to the big wigs in the Redskins, top execs. It's a big FU. I'm going to take my I'm going to take my talents to San Francisco, and he's going to leave Redskins on top. Number 8, I have Derek Carr. I almost put him a little bit higher, but I'm going to just slow my roll on him a little bit. I think he's definitely top 10 worthy. I almost put him at number 5, but I think he still has a little bit to prove yet. So put him right there at 8. Andrew Luck at 7. I think this is going to be a bounce back year for Andrew Luck. Injuries and just bad communication with the offensive line. He was on his back a lot. So I think this year they'll get things going again, and Andrew Luck will have a bounce back year. Number 6, I have Russell Wilson from Seattle. Like you're saying, mobile. And like I was saying, he's the only one to be able to be mobile and still be effective and accurate while doing so. So I think he's definitely in the top 10. Big Ben is number 5. I mean, when you have the straight out number 1 wide receiver in the league, then you're going to be in the top 10. And also have number 1 running back with Le'Veon Bell. I mean, defenses don't know what to do because they don't know what you're doing, which is going to allow them to do whatever they want. So definitely, that's why I put him in the top 5. Top 4, I have Matt Ryan at number 4. That offense was good enough to get them in the Super Bowl, and they almost won it. And I think they're going to be just as good this year. Well, I think they could be just as good. Even if they fall off a little bit, I still think he's top 4. Number 3, I have him a lot higher than you guys. I have Drew Brees. Like you were saying, take away Jimmy Graham, take away Brandon Cooks. He's still leading the league in passing yards since 2014. So, I mean, this guy's a beast. Number 2, I have Tom Brady because everyone is saying he's the GOAT. I still don't like him. Number 1, I have Aaron Rodgers. Again, you could probably put him in the category of mobile quarterbacks, but he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to, unless he has to, and then he's a beast. So, number 1, I have Aaron Rodgers.
All right. So that is all our top 10s for our positions.
No love for Stafford, either of you, huh? What's the hate for Stafford?
It's not the hate. I just think that
I think other people are better.
I think he doesn't have the weapons around him right now.
Go look at the numbers.
No, I know. The numbers are there.
No, Matt said he doesn't think he's good. Go look at the numbers.
No.
I know he's good, but I think as of right now, I said these quarterbacks that I put, I think are better than him.
I think I read somewhere that
man.
I think I've read somewhere that
that's why
he's
this
actually
is
more
opinion, man.
efficient without Calvin Johnson. Somewhere there
He
that
is.
he didn't have to. He's not just throwing it up anymore. He's actually having to make the reads, and he's gonna have to maybe go past the first read, which was Calvin Johnson all the time. So he's not forcing it to him.
We'll see what happens.
I think he's definitely. I have him at 12.
Well, you know what? After the season's over with, when we're done with the Super Bowl, we'll redo this again based on this year's stats and who you think's better. How about that?
That's
and then
fine.
we'll see
I mean,
what's going on.
we can do this however many times you want.
We'll do it halfway through the season. Well, we did do that last year with MVP. So that's going to do it for our steel positions. The next time we will be doing rankings. Will be Anthony. You said August 17th, correct?
We're gonna do the fantasy
Yep.
rankings.
August 17th, we will do our fantasy football preview show because obviously we can't do it without the face, supposedly, whatever he's.
Okay, yeah, I'll be
considering
here.
I mean, you've wrote it on the Facebook and on the YouTube video, and
Whoa,
you said it
whoa,
twice.
whoa,
So
whoa!
obviously
The
someone
Facebook
else is
was
starting to
edited
believe
by
it now.
you. It said by
No,
Anthony
before that,
Odisio
go
on
look
the
now.
bottom.
That's all you. It's on the post, the
Paul.
video that posted.
All right, so Paul,
Okay.
go ahead. Paul, go ahead and do it.
What's that?
The dun, 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 whatever the hell.
Oh, so
the
we're
final
rolling.
thing.
Rolling.
Yeah,
He's throwing it out.
We're rolling
out.
So let's clear this up a little bit.
We're not clearing anything up. I want to go eat some food.
I was sitting there typing up the description of the title.
All right, I changed it. Okay, it was me, Austin. It was me all along.
I walk away and come back, and he said he deleted everything I wrote and then put his own thing in, and then I was just like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, Paul. He knows. He knows just like everyone knows. But I am the champ.
Matt, let me ask you a question.
love
When
it.
you look at the screen over there, who's in the middle?
Anthony. That's our
Thank you, Chris.
producers. That's our producers. fault.
Thank you, Chris.
That's
All right, go ahead, Paul. Let's get out of here.
all right. Yeah, that was a good one. Thanks everyone for watching, for listening. Thanks for James in the chat room for chiming in. These guys have fun with that, that's for sure. Please, if you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and jump over to the YouTube channel and subscribe.
That's probably where it's all at, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't go to. I went to the Facebook. It's like, where's all this stuff?
Yeah, I know it was on the YouTube.
On YouTube, gotcha.
But what was I saying? Yeah, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you get all the updates of the latest episodes and everything we got going on. We're quickly running up to our 100th episode, which is awesome, and you don't want to miss that one, that's for sure. It's at Shive Sports Talk on Twitter, Shive Sports Talk on Instagram, right?
Whenever I use it,
Yeah, whenever you
I mostly
it.
use my main account.
And
just
ShiveSportsTalk
post it.
at gmail.com. So feel free to get in touch with us. Comment in the comments below. Let us know what you think.
Is OT3 coming back Monday, Anthony? I know you got a lot to get off
I'll
your
be here.
chest. Yep.
I'll be
Monday
here.
OT3. He's gonna have a lot to get off his chest. It's a special tune-in episode. I would tune in for this. I think me and Anthony both have a lot to get off our chest about this past weekend.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So, like I said, me and Chris will be back. No, wait. Are you leave? Wait, when do you go?
I leave Tuesday.
So you won't be here next week.
No, I mean I probably have access to Skype.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if
I'll
Chris
try to
isn't
Skype
here,
from the
I'll be
pool.
back next week because I know I want to go over the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be here next Thursday, either by myself or Chris. I'll probably end up doing it via Skype.
You can even
Next
I might
Skype
even
from your.
call in.
you
I
can
might be
even
able to Skype from my phone.
You can
yeah.
even
Okay, there we
from
go.
your phone, exactly.
Yeah, as long as the Wi-Fi network is great, then we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
It
So
won't be
we-
the best sound, but
So we will have a
Yeah.
show next week, but looking forward to August 17th. Mark your calendar, put it down, 7 p.m. Our Shive Sports Talk annual fantasy football preview show. Also, I think Paul, I talked to the head producer upstairs, the CEO of the studio, and I believe we're gonna do another NFL Sunday kickoff special. But we'll be in studio because, like I said last week, our establishment is no longer there. So stay tuned to that. So for myself, Chris, Paul, and Anthony, thank you for joining us. Have a good evening and enjoy the trade deadline.
See ya.
have a good night, everybody.
Good night.